So after men's doubles, we turn our attention to men's singles. And how about that? The former Olympic champion Taufik Hidayat of Indonesia up against the current Olympic champion Lin Dan of China. Well, Taufik Hidayat announced to come forward onto court. A legend in Indonesia, the 2004 Olympic champion. Won the title, the gold medal, when he was unseeded, having been the #1 seed 4 years earlier at the Sydney Olympics, but lost in the quarter-final in Australia. Three-time Olympian. Will he make it 4? Well, not secure of his Olympic berth and his qualification yet. And here his opponent, the current Olympic champion, 28-year-old Lin Dan. Not only Olympic champion, also reigning world champion. 4 times he's won the world title. Well, I'm reading in the newspapers, big debates as to who's the greatest of them all. And he's certainly got to be right up there. Well, so too is this man, one of the great characters of our sport. Yet I can tell you, whilst some people think he's at times been a little fiery on court and perhaps stacked over the mark, I can assure you that the counter side of that is he does a huge amount for charity. And a huge amount to try and help youngsters back home in Indonesia take up the sport. So the 30-year-old from Bandung in West Java in Indonesia, Taufik Hidayat, not seeded this year, world ranking of 12. Second Indonesian in the world rankings at the moment, and of course he is former world #1. He was #1 when he was 20. Isn't that extraordinary? #1 when he was 18, actually. He was #1 back in 2000. Hence he was the #1 seed at those Sydney Olympic Games. Win-loss record for the year, 6-3. Now that does include team competition, because in an individual competition he lost in the quarter-final of the Malaysian Super Series and the first round of the Korea Super Series. Lost out in Korea to Englishman Rajiv Usif, who of course put out in the first round here the #4 seed Peter Gader. Well, Taufik Hidayat had a tough opening round against the left-hander from Guatemala, Kevin Corden. But let's first look at Lin Dan, 28-year-old from Fuzhou in Fujian province on the east coast of China. #2 in the world rankings, but he, like his opponents, has been #1. Achieved that in March 2004. His win-loss record for the year translates into 2 finals. Was winner of the German Grand Prix last week, beat Simon Santoso, another Indonesian player in the final, and beaten finalist at the Korea Super Series event, where he lost out to the world #1 Lee Chong-wei in 3 games. Surprise loss in Malaysia, his other individual tournament so far this year. Lost in the second round to Denmark's Jan Jorgensen in 3 games. Now his matches so far in the tournament, Lin Dan, no problems in the first round against AJ Jayaram of India. And then in the second round had to play another left-hander, the qualifier from Malaysia, Chong Wei Feng. Once again, 2 straight games. So this, the 13th meeting between these two players in ranking tournaments, and I stress that because they've played each other previously in events such as the Asian Games final in Doha in 2006, but that doesn't count towards a world ranking, and therefore it doesn't show on those statistics.
Time, please, gentlemen.
What a prospect. Former Olympic champion against the reigning Olympic champion. Two of the sport's all-time greats. Taufik Hidayat, twice a finalist here, reached the final when he was 17, 13 years ago. Lost out to a certain Peter Gader in that final. A year later, in 2000, reached the final again as an 18-year-old. Lost out to Shah Zhuanze. And Shah Zhuanze, of course, is sitting on this man's coaching bench because Shah Zhuanze is now men's singles coach. There he is in the orange top.
On my right, Lin Dan, China.
Left-handed Lin Dan, 28 years of age.
On my left, Taufik Hidayat, Indonesia. Lin Dan to serve. Love all. Play.
So Lin Dan, my former world #1, currently at #2 behind Malaysia's Lee Chong Wei. Former All-England champion, of course. 4 times he's won this title, having been in 7 finals. In fact, reached 6 consecutive finals, which in itself is quite remarkable, between 2004 and 2009. Both players making their 10th appearance, and both former world champions, both former Olympic champions, both roughly the same age at the twilight of the years, but still both very much at the top of world badminton.
Definitely the case, Jill. Two of the greats that have ever played the game. Taufik Hidayat plays a very, very different style to most. He likes to play almost like a doubles game, very flat, taking people on in the mid-court, and very interesting prospect, this one.
Yes, but what's a little bit ominous, I think, for Indonesian fans is the fact that Lin Dan has won their last 8 encounters. And of course, in ranking tournaments, you have to go back. The last time that Taufik Hidayat actually beat Lin Dan was in the final of the World Championships in Anaheim in 2005. Now, when you've got a record like that, do you have the inner belief?
That is the challenge, isn't it? You've got to the stage where you've lost so many matches on the trot that your opponent feels like he's walking on water when he's playing against you. So you've just got to play free, believe that you can beat somebody, and just have a good go.
Well, I have to say, watching Taufik Hidayat late yesterday evening, playing against the #5 seed Chen Jin, who of course was winner of the All-England title back in 2008 and the #5 seed this year. Well, this man played with an intensity that I haven't seen in a long, long while. 21-19, 21-19, an hour and 2 minutes just for those 2 games. It really was superb. It was almost as if we had rolled back the years and we saw the desire and the hunger from this Indonesian that has at times been lacking in some tournaments. He's been criticised for it. I still love watching him play.
He's a brilliant player to watch. He possesses so many skills. Like I said before, he plays in such a different style to many, many players. But he's also been there and done it many occasions before, Olympic champion. I think he's had a bit of a long patch where he felt like he didn't perhaps want to commit to the training as much. He's always going to have the natural skills. And potentially he's got the best backhand I've ever seen in the game of badminton. And when he's on his best, he can beat anybody.
Yeah, he does have a remarkable backhand. And he's not afraid to use it. Good smash from Lin Dan.
Service over, 3-all.
Here's the wonderful defence from Hiriat, but not good enough. Of course, Taufik Hiriat does compete independently of the National Federation of Indonesia, PBSI. Been an independent player now for a number of years. You talk about his training. I think part of his philosophy was that, you know, he would rather do 4 hours of quality work than 6 hours of brutal work. You can see that both of his knees are strapped. He's been struggling with knee problems for quite a number of years, and he, as a real incentive to keep his career going a little bit longer, actually deliberately started to train, yes, less, but in better quality.
That's a great tactic for an older player. This is something that my former coach, Andy Wood, tried to install into us, that it is about quality and not quantity. Of course, when you're as talented as somebody like Taufik Hiriat, you can play the game without being perhaps as physically able as some of the Chinese and Korean players. And clever play from him, to be honest. You know, if his body can't cope with the extremes of 6 hours a day, then, you know, take it upon yourself. It's about you at the end of the day, and he's the one that's got to produce the goods.
Yes, and he certainly has, because you look back over the years and he's won at least one major title every year for 14 consecutive years. Since his very first title, the Brunei Grand Prix, when he was 16 years, 11 months old, beat Dong Jiong, who'd just been in the final of the Olympics, in that final. I don't think there's many players who will ever have a record like that.
That's just incredible, isn't it? It just shows the talent that he has. I first saw Taufik Hiriat at a junior tournament, age 14, and even then you knew he was going to be a special talent. He was very, very skinny. I mean, he's not the biggest of guys now, but he was very, very thin lad, very, very skinny legs, and the power that he possessed for a child, which is what he was impressive. You know, you always knew he was going to be a great at the game.
Service over, 6-5.
He's definitely wanting to get involved in these flat, fast exchanges, as you suggested he would.
7-5.
But, you know, you talk about the greats of the game. I've always been a great believer in Taufik Hiriat's ability to raise his game somewhat for the big events. You know, you look at his career, 12 medals at major games or championships. We're talking Olympics, World Championships, Asian Games, Southeast Asian Games, and the Asian Championships as well. 12 medals, that's pretty impressive. Only 25 titles in all. So he's not one that goes out month after month, week after week at the Super Series events. In fact, the surprising statistic, he's only ever won one Super Series title.
It does surprise me that he's only won the one. He is an incredible player. He's been around for so many years, and you almost can't believe that that's the statistics. But I actually think that's quite similar about both of the players on court. Lin Dan isn't particularly somebody who will win week in, week out. That's more Chong Wei that picks up most of the Super Series wins throughout a season. But when it comes to the big ones, these two, over the last couple of decades, have been the players that really seem to be able to go that little bit further when it really, really matters.
Respond to the big occasion, thrive on the pressure, thrive on the opportunity. Oh, goodness me, that control at the net from Lin Dan.
6.
The amount of spin that comes off the shuttle off his racket there, okay, you could say Taufik here that could have knocked that one off at the net, but it was so tight, and the amount of revolutions the shuttle was doing made it so difficult to even attempt it.
It's gone wide.
Service over, 7-9.
There's a real interesting battle developing on the control of the net.
8-9.
Both players obviously realise how important that is.
I think a lot of the top world-class men's singles players are so good at the net. They can play such tight net shots that they almost don't want to give each other the opportunity to play the net. And quite often you'll see a lot of flat little pushes into the mid-court rather than a tight net shot.
Oh, misjudgment from Taufik Hidayat. Clearly in.
Service over, 10-8.
Spin's gone in the racket, that's why he made the error.
Interval.
And that error means that Lin Dan has a 3-point advantage at the mid-game interval. Yes. Knew immediately. Strings are gone. I think, Anthony, it's difficult for people here, perhaps in Europe, to understand just how big these two players are as far as megastars are concerned in Asia. They are absolutely huge. And I thought what was very nice was that just last month, Lin Dan was one of the nominees for the Laureus Awards, staged in London, came to London as one of the nominated for Best Sportsman of the Year, along with Usain Bolt, Sebastian Vettel, of course, world Formula One champion twice, Novak Djokovic, who of course won the title, and Messi as well. And of course Messi, a couple of nights ago, Tuesday night, scored 5 goals in the Champions League for Barcelona. Now when you put somebody like Lin Dan in the same breath as athletes like that, perhaps people here in Europe can start to understand just how big a stars and how important these top badminton players are in Asia.
That's just fantastic for the world of badminton, isn't it? That such a superstar in our game can be up there with those kind of people. You know, people back home would never realise that Lin Dan is so important to the Chinese nation. You know, he's the public face for so many companies, and everybody loves him. You know, everybody wants to be him. He's the equivalent of what we would probably say David Beckham over here. And what a credit to the man. He really is a superstar.
9-11.
Yes, of course, he was the 2010 Male Sportsperson of the Year in China. Female Sportsperson of the Year was Wang Min, of course, who had won 4 gold medals in speed skating at the Vancouver Olympics. So again, they're putting him in the status of people winning gold medals, and you know, he is a megastar. He's also very wealthy, I understand.
I believe he also drives a Ferrari, Gerald, so he's obviously got a fair bit of cash in the bank. And yeah, a few of the badminton players out there drive Ferraris, so there's obviously some money in the sport.
Oh, my goodness. Well, he's pushed it long and wide. How on earth did he get that back?
Service over.
Lin Dan's just one of those people that just seems to be able to get the impossible back. It's what makes him the true champion that he is. at times he often looks like he's sauntering around the court, a little bit like Lee Chong-wei does as well, but always seems to be there. No matter how much speed or power he uses, he just reads the game so well.
Yes, that's nicely done. Rolled the racket head, creating the disguise. And Handoyo, his coach, very pleased with that. Been his coach for a number of years now. And it's just wide.
So it's over 13-11.
Goodness, what on earth was that?
It's an outrageous cross-court smash.
He is human after all.
13.
Absolutely, we all make mistakes. Perhaps we'll allow him one a championship.
Lovely backhand. Well, his movement to that, what we call the round the head position when the shuttle is played deep into what in essence is the player's backhand corner, and they still play the shot with the normal overhead action. Lin Dan's movement back into that corner is just so smooth.
Actually had the pleasure of coaching another player against Lin Dan a few years ago, and I always watched him and thought, why is he so good? And then I was down courtside, sitting in the coach's chair, watching the game, understanding of where he was hitting. It was almost impossible. You know, it doesn't look deceptive from, you know, on the TV and when you're watching the crowd, but when you're playing against him and you're on court level, you just have no idea where the guy's hitting it.
He's pushed it wide. Oh, all credit to the Indonesian.
Service over 13.
Sticking with him. Once again, narrowed the gap to just one solitary point. What a good rally once again. Tactically so clever.
14.
That delightful block across court. And it's interesting, Anthony, because you talked about the disguise that Lin Dan has overhead, but how many overhead opportunities is he getting? Not many.
Very, very clever tactics from Taufik Hidayat. I said this at the start of the match, that would be the nature in which he would play, and this is why he's been such a good player over the years, because he does bring something different to the table, other than, you know, the long dimensions of the court. In fact, Taufik, uses less dimensions of the court to play that flat game and play almost like a doubles game, on his own.
And on a run of 3 straight
15,
points. Now
14.
creeps into the lead.
Wipe the court, please. Wipe the court, please.
Now the court's going to be mopped of the perspiration.
It's off.
Yeah, well, he was so desperate not to lift the shuttle
So,
again.
so,
Taufik Hidayat
15
trying to
all.
play once again back to the net. Well, there's been a lot made of the rivalry over the years between these two men, but the truth of the matter is they actually have a great deal of respect for each other.
It's absolutely the case. You can definitely tell that there is the respect there, and that's healthy. Of course, you know, you need big rivalries within the game, but it needs to be decent between the two.
Going for a very ambitious backhand cross-court net shot. Taufik Hidayat.
16-15.
Did well on the defence there. And Lin Dan restores his lead. Get the sense that Lin Dan's just
17,
easing up
15.
his pace, going up a gear or so now.
I think Lin Dan's got a couple of more levels that he can bring to the table in this game. I think he's been very much cruising through the first part of this game, and last couple of points he's just shown what he's capable of.
What a rally. Oh, my goodness. Oh, sensational. Suddenly, from nowhere, Taufik Hidayat finds a cross-court angle. Yeah.
So 16-17.
So many good quality shots throughout the whole rally. That deserved to end with such a great shot, and did.
Taufik, please.
He had to defend so many. He's taking that backhand late. was courageous, wasn't it? Net shot off a tight spinning net shot.
Sixteen, 17 play.
Brilliant. Extraordinary courage to play that net shot.
17 all.
And once again, the back level. The net cord. And then after such a wonderful net shot, what has to go down as a careless error. That looked like a lazy shot. Only took it at about shoulder
19,
height.
17.
Yeah.
Definitely see a game plan from Lin Dan, looking to make Taufik work very, very hard all over the court. Like you said in that rally, he did look a bit tired on that last one, and Lin Dan looks so controlled and focused at the moment.
What a good lift. And then the clear drops long of the back line from Lin Dan. And you could just tell that both players knew how important that rally was.
Service over 18-19.
I think it still shows the confidence of Lin Dan. I think he's got several more gears that he can offer. I mean, go back to the Beijing Olympic final. The speed at which he played was just unbelievable. I mean, when he's at his best, he's so impressive to watch because of his movement around the court. And I do think he's still, even though it's very, very tight match, I think he's cruising a little bit.
Play, please.
Phenomenal. That is Lin Dan at his best.
Service over.
There's the injection of pace that you were talking about. Suddenly, an extra gear. The power smash down the line. Ready to pounce on the reply. Second one cross-court out of the reach of the Indonesian. And up come 2 game points for Lin Dan.
Play, please, gentlemen.
must have changed his mind. Taufik Hidayat, what a disappointing way for the opening game to end after a wonderful game all the way through until that last return of serve. Yeah, complete mishit. Well, what a time for that to happen. 21-18, the opening game to Lin Dan in 28 minutes. Charles Ranger. No, I wonder if that was sort of saying, come on, just play at a little bit of a quicker pace.
Jangan separuh hati, masih bisa. Ya, oke ya. Yuk.
He always looks a little nonchalant, doesn't he?
Lin Dan.
Well, I think this is very telling indeed. Lin Dan was prowling around the court, ready to play on. Taufik Hidayat looking very calm at the side of the court, but taking all of his allotted time. And really the big question mark in my mind, Anthony, is the Desire. Now he's lost the opening game. For Taufik Hidayat now to come back. You've kept saying you think that Lin Dan has an extra gear he can go to. Obviously, Taufik Hidayat probably knows the same thing himself. How does he now approach this game? Does he have the belief? He's lost the last 8 encounters between these two men. Somehow, he has to find the inner strength from somewhere.
Well, this will be a test of the man, whether he's capable of doing it. You know, he's such a great player. We've talked about his experience and everything. He needs to really draw on that now and see what he's possible of.
One love.
Great control. Without stating the obvious, the start to this second game is crucial as far as the Indonesian is concerned, because if Lin Dan gets too far in front, I really do think the belief will be sapped from the Indonesian. Superb. Finds the line.
It's kind of what I was talking about with that extra gear. You know, he's really set the stall for the start of this second game. And okay, we've had one mistake from Taufik Hidayat, but we've had 3 incredible rallies from Lin Dan. And it must be incredibly frustrating when you know you're playing against somebody who can go up more and more levels as and when he needs to.
You also have to think about what a difference a year makes, because 12 months ago, Taufik Hidayat was actually the #2 seed here at the All England. Lost in the first round to Yamada of Japan.
Six love.
this is really ominous for Indonesian fans.
Love. Yes.
Can't help but think how much that match last night against Chen Jin will have taken out of Taufik Hidayat, you know, psychologically, emotionally, as much as physically.
That's the unfortunate thing about men's singles. The draw is so strong that even in the first round you can have a very tough match. You know, for Taufik Hidayat, he's had to play against Chen Jin. You know, he's an incredible player in his own right, and now he's up against the Olympic champion.
I think, in all fairness, that can be said for all 5 disciplines. There are no easy matches nowadays in Super Series events, and especially not in Premier Super Series, and especially when it's the last major event before the end of the Olympic qualifying period. Every single star of world badminton, all the top players, are here at the All England Championships.
Service over 1-9.
Just an incredible rally. This just shows how good Lin Dan really is. He actually drops his racket here, look, and he's still got the time to recover, play a backhand, get back into the rally nice and easy, and then finishes it with his trademark jump cross-court smash.
Service over 2-10.
Good flick serve. Lin Dan now thriving off these flat fast exchanges, and a 9-point advantage at the mid-game interval. See how that racket bent as he almost leant on it to keep his balance. And he does look to be cruising now, does Lin Dan?
Court line, 20 seconds. Court line, 20 seconds.
Okay.
11-2. Play.
Do you know what the tattoo on his left arm is all about there, Anthony?
I've no idea. Quite often players will have tattoos of encouragement, certain words that they feel that are relevant to themselves.
You know, Chris Adcock, for instance, has got no regrets tattooed down his torso. Oh, it's wonderful, isn't it?
His confidence has just gone through the roof in this game. That is a big problem when you're playing against Lin Dan. If he gets to that stage where he believes he can play any shot in the book, he really will take you apart. I mean, he's already tried a few really cheeky ones so far in this game. The odd one hasn't quite come off, but when he starts playing like that, he's so dangerous.
Gone wide.
13-3.
Yeah, good call. Was just wide. That shuttle was behind him when he played that. All coaches tell you you've got to play those sort of shots, taking the shuttle in front of you. He's got the racket head control that he just clips that down. (14-3). I suspect it's really just a case of Taufik Hidayat trying to make this second game scoreline a little more respectable. I'm really not convinced he's got the belief that he can win this.
I'm not sure with the way that Lin Dan's playing at this point he's got any chance, to be honest.
Service over, 15.
Well, in all probability, this is going to be Taufik Hidayat's last All England Championships. Stated his intention to probably retire from top-level badminton after the London Olympics.
16-4.
Totally showboating now, Lin Dan. He's literally trying every shot I think he can think of.
Well, defiant to the end, Taufik Hidayat.
Service over, 5-17.
Write him off in your peril.
Service over, 18-5.
Once again, every inch of the court explored.
Service over, 6-18.
Oh, he's missed by a mile.
Service over, 19-6.
Always landed in. Good defensive shots from Taufik Hidayat.
Service over, 7-19.
And it's drifted wide, and with that error,
Service over, 20
12 match points for Lin Dan.
Game.
First time of asking. And the 4 times former champion, Lin Dan, safely through to the semi-final. Taufik Hidayat, who's graced the courts here
Match won by Lin
at
Dan,
the All England Championships for so many years,
21-8. Thank you, line
will
judges.
end his career without ever having won this prestigious title. But he gave it his all this year. First time in many a year that he wasn't seeded at these All England Championships, but made it through to the quarter-final nonetheless. 21-18, 21-8, the scoreline in the end. 44 minutes of play, and Lin Dan safely through to the semi-final. And I have to say, in that second game, he really did look very impressive indeed. So as both the players leave the courts, well, Taufik Hidayat has given us so much joy over the years here at the All England, but he goes no further this year. Lin Dan, as you can see, number 2 seed into the semi-final, and he will play either Kenichi Tago, the number 7 seed from Japan, or Chen Long, his teammate, the number 3 seed this year.